Hello everyone, my name is Alexander King, and today we're actually going to be looking at how to make fire. And so this is going to be something that we're going to be working on, and this is what it's going to look like. So if you notice here the details, it gets really bright from the origin point, and then if you go a little closer you can see kind of like these particles that are coming out. So, and then once you get a little higher it starts to kind of like fade away like that. So that's what we're going to be making, and so let's get started. Alright, so we're just starting off with a new project, and I think I'm just going to add a plane here just to kind of get some floor so that we could just kind of place our fire in the middle. And I'm going to make a new folder just for our material. Let's see, or materials, we might have more materials later on. Yes, we will. Materials. And once you have a materials folder, just go ahead and create material right here. We're going to change the color to a little bit of a darkish color, so like maybe like a, let's do like a greenish, something like that. Cool. And then once you got this material, I'm just going to rename it grass. Just going to put it on the plane there, just so we got something. And so to start off with having particles made, you right click on the hierarchy and you go to, let's see, effects, particle system. And that's what it should look like, is just like these little white particles floating up in the air. Before we go any further, I am going to let you guys know that you will be needing a sprite sheet of smoke. So like this is one, for example. So a sprite sheet of all this kind of, all like a pair of images of just having smoke. And it's this one specifically is an 8x8. It could be a 4x4, 2x2, it doesn't really matter. But the more you have, the better, the more detailed your fire is going to look like. So this is what we'll be using, is kind of like a wispy smoke effect, and it's just like a sprite sheet of images. You can make one yourself via Photoshop, even Microsoft Paint even. You can make something as simple as this one, where this is a transparent picture of just 2x2, and it's just like four different kinds of flames. So prior to working on this tutorial, you want to make sure you have something like this. Alright, so once you got your particle system up there, we also want to make a new game object, so we can make it as a parent. So we could do PS parent, and then we're just going to put the particle system in there, and then we're just going to rename this as PS fire. Okay, so now that we have this up and running here, let's see, there we go. Now we want to make a new material. So let's go to create materials, and then we're going to call this matte fire add. Or actually, let's rename this to alpha. So once you have this material made, let's go to standard. We're gonna actually search for alpha blend, and there's going to be multiple ones for alpha blended, and we're just going to do the legacy shaders. If you don't have legacy shaders, just go for the mobile one. They're all basically the same. Okay, so now we have this selected here, so we're going to go back to our fire. We're going to do a couple changes. So let's open your renderer tab, and instead of the default particle system, instead of just this little particle here, we're going to change it to the matte fire alpha. So you're going to be seeing all these white boxes appear, but that's because we don't have our tile sheet from the wispy smoke. So I'm actually going to import that just a sec. Okay, so I imported my textures folder, and so now we have the wispy smoke. Again, this is going to be something different for all of you, is that if you might have a 6x6, 4x4, but for me it's going to be an 8x8. So I'm going to go back to my fire particle system, and we're going to go to texture sheet animation. We're going to toggle that on, and once we have that on, we're actually going to change the tiles to 8x8, just like how it is for the wispy smoke. And since nothing is still changing yet, it's because we haven't really changed the texture on the material. So what we're going to do is that we're just going to drag that, and we're just going to place it there, and notice that the particles have changed. So that's what we want, but it still doesn't look the right way. So let's adjust the shape a bit of of this. So let's go to our shape tab, and then we're going to change the angle to like, let's try 5 and see how that looks, right? Okay, cool. And the radius to like maybe like a 0.1 for now. And let's adjust the start lifetime to like a 2.5. So now it's just going to end at a like 2.5 seconds. And then the start speed is maybe like a 1.5. So now it's actually kind of looking like it's actual smoke, right? And so now, I mean, it's just smoke, right? But we also kind of want it to still be looking like fire. So we can go to change the color. So we can go to color over lifetime, and we could toggle that on. Once that's toggled on, we could do this right here. We could just change it, and then we could actually make this, start making this black. And actually on both sides of these top left and top right corner, we're going to want to make it to where it kind of like fades away from the beginning to the end. So we're going to change this color to, let's see, if we, I think it's like, actually I think it's, yeah, it's this color. So we go to here. So we might want to start it off pretty bright from the beginning. So maybe like something like this. And then over here, we're going to want to make it more red. So maybe a little reddish there. So we want to do that. And then whenever it goes from the very end, we want it to be black like that. So, and then yeah, this yellow for now looks kind of strange, but it should be able to be fixed once we get a little further in. Just do a quick few adjustments here. So we might just like, instead of this being totally black, we could just have it like, maybe a little shade of red there still. So yeah, I think that looks pretty good so far. So now let's change the size over the lifetime. So you could just toggle that on. It's just almost right below the color over lifetime. We can go here and we could adjust it. So initially this is where the starting point's at. So we could probably raise it up a little higher, so we could have it maybe like around 0.5-ish, to where now it expands as it goes above. Let's go back to our main tab here. We're going to add some gravity to it, so we could probably do like a negative 0.04. Yeah, that looks cool. And then let's try and see. And so if you notice here that the particles are all kind of like in the same position, they're not rotating at all, so we could add some rotation. So we could do actually start rotation. So the start rotation, we could click on this tab here, and we could do random between 2 constants, and so that'll give us like a degree number of 0 and 360. So now if you notice, all the particles are in a different rotation, so now it gives us more of a variety of look. So that looks pretty cool. Okay, so now we finally have just the base of our fire, but now we're going to add more particles by duplicating this. So we could duplicate this, and we're going to rename both of these. So we could do, this is just the alpha version, so like the main particle system, and then we could change this one to an additive version. So we could just do add. So there we go. So for every different particle system that we add, we're also going to have to make a new material. So we could do create material, and we could call this mat fire add. Okay, cool. And so now we have that. So we also want to change the shader. We want to do additive, and so I like to just do legacy shaders, so I'm just going to do additive, and we want to make this completely white. There we go. And yes, that's, oh yes, also now we're also going to put this additive material, and then we're also going to put it in the renderer. Instead of the alpha version, we're going to change it to the add version. I also forgot to add in the add particle system for the material, actually, we need to add the texture there as well. So let's go ahead and put that there. And so now, if you notice in the game view, we have the actual additive version in there. And so if we click on the parent, so now they're both there together. And let's change the additive layer. So see, it's kind of like behind it. We could change the layer from order in layer, and we could change this to 1. And so now if we restart it, there we go. It should look like that. Now it looks like that layer's in front of it. I'm also going to adjust the kind of sizes that we have here. So in the alpha one, we're going to change the start size to like 3.5. Hell yeah, that looks cool. And then now we could go to the add version, and then we could change this to like a 1.5 as well. Cool. And so if we select both of these, that's what it looks so far. Maybe adjust these a bit here, so 1.2 maybe. Or actually, let me go back. Let me go back here real quick. So on the additive version, we could just change the lifetime to 1.2, and then we could do the start size to like 1.75. And if we double click on both of these, that's how it looks so far. So that looks pretty cool. Looks very dangerous. I'm also going to adjust the color of this, so make it a little darker, so I can go like right here. Yeah, that seems reasonable. So that's how it looks all together.
Hi, I'm Javier, and I'll be taking over for the rest of this tutorial. And so just like we did before, we're going to add another layer. We're going to do it just like the additive one, and this is where we're going to add the glow effects. So just go ahead and duplicate it, and we're going to rename it to glow. Yeah, alright. So this is going to be the glow effect for the surrounding areas. So we're going to go ahead and create a new material, name that one glow fire. Alright, so change of plans. We're actually going to just duplicate the add material because it'll be a lot easier to do it this way. So just go ahead and duplicate it and rename it to glow. So instead of using the wispy smoke, that tile shade that we were using before, we're going to use the default particle in Unity. So easily, you'll already have it, and we're using the default. Now then, we're going to go into the glow, and we're going to change the texture. Wait, nah. Actually, we're going to go into the renderer, and we're going to put the texture there. And no worries about the tile shade effects going on, because we just need to turn off the texture sheet animation. And now you'll see we have this good little glow effect going on. And it's kind of small, so we're just going to increase the size to 4. And so now, once you look at it together, it actually looks pretty neat, right? It's my mixtape. So let's adjust a couple things here. We have our start size at 4, and we're going to change the start speed to 2.5. Alright, so that'll make it go a little bit higher, and like we're going to turn down the brightness a little bit. So let's go back down to the texture, and we're going to just lower the brightness on the color. Just a bit darker black, and now we put it together, and it looks pretty good. I like it. So we're just going to adjust a couple things here. Alright, so I can change the size over lifetime, make it wider. And if I go back up, we're going to change start size to be a little bigger, maybe 4.5. And then the start speed, just up that to 3. Or, nah, I'll just keep it at 2. Alright, and we'll see how that is. It's nice. Just a few more small adjustments. We're going to use the start color, and we're going to change it to like an orangish color. Yeah, there we go. And we're going to go back, and we're going to go into the color over lifetime, and we're going to, instead of making it like red, we're going to go into an orange color. This gives it a softer look, like real fire. Yeah, it's good. Okay, so now that we have the fire, we're going to just go ahead and duplicate the glow, and we're going to change this to sparks, because we're going to have sparks kind of like flying out. And it's going to be the last layer for this fire. Okay, so now that we have the duplicated layer, we're going to just go ahead and adjust it. We're going to instead make this one color white, and with the rotation, it's between 0 and 360, and but we're instead gonna make it constant. And for the glow, we also don't need that rotation either. Or we don't need the curve. It can be constant. All right, and if we go into emission, then we're going to go ahead and do more than 10, so we're going to bump it up to 50. We also want to change the start size. We're going to change it between two constants, so we're going to go ahead and use 0.1 and like 0.2. Yeah, and this is what it looks like. So let's change a couple things here. We can, we'll change the start size, or no, nah, it's fine. Let's go ahead and change the radius. So the radius is kind of thin on this. So if we change it to like, how about 0.5? Yeah. So now notice how the particles are just going the same way, and we're gonna change that. We're gonna toggle on noise, and we're just gonna change it to be like 0.5, and this to 1, and the scroll speed to 1. So now, like, see how they're all like crazy, just like actual ashes and sparks, which is pretty nice. So now we're just gonna adjust a couple things for the angle. So if we go back into the shape, we're going to go to 0.3, and then we're going to do like a 15. See, so now it's like expanding. So also instead of starting out really small and going big, it's going to be from very large to small. So we're going to go into the size over lifetime, and instead of having the curve go up, we're going to set it to a downward curve. Alright, now I'm just going to let Alex finish off the video.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we got. We have fire. And so that's how it looks like. It's pretty simple. You just have to have, like, like 4 particle systems kind of playing all together. And if you see in the game view, if I can notice, if I change the camera a bit, and if I just play this, see how cool that looks? And you could always adjust it, whatever you can. I'm just imagining this fire kind of being like inside of a building of a house, having it be very bright and then kind of like blur out from the end. So I think it looks pretty cool. So there you go. I hope you guys learned something, and if you guys have any questions, just send me a message.